Okay, go ahead.
Hi there, I'm Abby Gilmore. I've been living in Tucson for well over 30 years now. I was actually born in Phoenix. I'm a military dependent, so I moved around the world a lot with my family. And I am down here because for quite a long time it seemed to me things have been disturbingly wrong, and then with the crises, quite apparently wrong. And I think that people underestimate America's capacity to understand complex problems. And so I'm hoping that this complexity can be broken down and understood in a manner that might change the way that we're doing things today.
You know what? I haven't really thought about that. Like, how does the world view us on handling these problems? You know, the complexities of them, and are we just look like a bunch of, Neanderthals to people, or what? But yeah, that's something that I haven't thought of yet. And how do you think we're going to how do you think we're taking care of the problems today?
Do you mean the this particular movement?
Yeah,
or...
the complexity of what is the major complexity of this problem?
Oh, well, this problem is even beyond just the regulations of finance. I think that people are, with the power that corporations now are exercising, with this additional bump that they get from our really disturbed financial regulation, people are now more aware of how less power the people have and how much more power it appears corporate law has given them. To address a problem that complex, it is almost boring for most folks. It's policy discussion and law discussion. However, I think that people are smart enough and even intuitively aware that things used to not be so bad, or at least back then corporations were nicer to their employees. They even kept them closer to their side in order to keep them from splintering off and joining protests such as this one. And unfortunately, I think it's gotten so bad this time that even folks who are union members, people who normally you might have seen siding with essentially corporate Wall Street in the 60s, veterans, not all of them, but there's not as much division, or at least enough utility for Wall Street to use those people to protect themselves anymore. They really screwed the pooch. They went way too far.
Yeah, I think when you hit upon the law and the complexities of the laws that we are going through here. I mean, just look at our tax codes. They're so complex, and they're 8,000 pages.
Right.
So the complexities of the law to that, and then on top of that, what would you say, just sticking on with the law issue, I mean, even how the law has become unaffordable to just the regular Joe out there. That's,
Our perception that actually justice is available to us, but there's many roadblocks for people who are not fortunate enough to have the money that is actually required to execute it well. One thing I would like to share with you, I don't know if you're aware of this, and I actually read a lot of dry material, and then I tend to humorize it for my own sake and to share it with people. But when you look at the immense power of corporations and the way that law continues to be rewritten, even just under the end of the Bush administration, the Justice Department's ability to investigate and prosecute has almost been handed to the suspect to report their own crime, tell them how much they're willing to pay for that justice, and to promise they'll never do it again after their own internal investigation. That was all sold to us as a way to save the taxpayer money. But ultimately, if we were to try to move the goalpost back to what seemed more fair, we'd just get sued into the ground by the corporations. So we're still losing ground, but I want to share with you a hopeful thing, because I think hopeful messages are important.
Okay, we'll end it on that too.
Excellent. Arizona, as we know, has a terrible PR problem because of the radical anti-immigrant laws that are so popular and have been pushed a lot by the United States Chamber of Commerce, who is quite influential over our present Republican politicians. Unfortunately, though, Janet Napolitano, when she was our governor, our legislature came up with a very rational law that said that an employer who is caught for the second time employing people who are not documented will lose their corporate license and also be forbidden to ever form a corporation in the state of Arizona again. And The USCC fought that all the way to the Supreme Court, even though it was intended to control immigration. What they did not like was the fact that for the first time, if the Supreme Court ruled with Arizona, a corporation could actually have its head cut off by the state laws of Arizona, and their right to replicate into a corporate entity would be forever ended, almost like sterilizing your right to incorporate if you violate. And thank God our Supreme Court, not one that we all think is necessarily that left-leaning, upheld the Arizona law. Now, Janet Brewer does not enforce it. She wouldn't want to help start to establish precedent for this law to especially get spread over to other states. But it is a law that works. It is a law that places the responsibility where it belongs, like on the Johns when we talk about prostitution. And so I just hope that people understand that while we may be our ugly little baby thing, Arizona, we also just struck a blow for people's power over the corporation.
Okay, awesome. Thanks a lot.
You bet.
All right.